I move to approve.
I second.
Where is the?
Roll call?
Commissioners Oshigan,
Yes.
Tufankian,
I wasn't there, so.
Abstain. You can abstain.
If you watched it, you can approve. If you didn't watch it, you can abstain.
Abstain.
Vice Chair Zadorian,
Approved.
Chairperson Vidor.
Yes. Next item.
Item 3, introductions and presentations. At 3A, Library Arts and Culture events presented today by Ms. Fukutomi Jones, Arts Administrator.
So good afternoon, Chairperson Vidor, Vice Chair Zadorian, Commissioner Tufankian, Commissioner Oshigan. Thank you for the opportunity to present in front of you today. As you may have noticed, I look a little different than Chuck Wyke, who is at home resting. So we want to wish Chuck a speedy recovery, but I'm really excited to share what the library has in store for the next few weeks. So for historic enthusiasts, this Saturday, September 21st at 9:30 a.m., the Brand Associates will host a docent tour of the Brand Library and Mansion led by the Brand Associates member Jackie Davis, who will share information about the history of the Brand Library and historic restoration from 2012 to 2014. Brand 47 Works on Paper, 47th Annual National Juried Exhibition opened on September 7th and is running currently through October 25th. The Brand Associates Annual Juried Exhibition of Works on Paper features artists from across the United States. This year's juror is Alma Ruiz, an independent curator, senior fellow at Sotheby's Institute of Art, Claremont Graduate University, and a member of the advisory committee of the Cisneros Fontanals Art Foundation in Miami. And I had the pleasure of attending the exhibition opening on September 7th, which was fantastic. And these are just some samples of the amazing artwork that's being showcased as part of the exhibit. So I highly recommend folks head up to the Brand Library and take a visit. Brand Associates 50th anniversary celebration. We're going to party like it's 1969. Saturday, October 5th, 6:30 to 9 o'clock. The Associates of the Brand Library will be celebrating their 50th anniversary with the 1960s themed entertainment, which includes music and crafts. So bring your flower dresses and your go-go boots and come on down and celebrate. The suggested donation is $5, but make sure to RSVP at the link that's provided below.
Groovy.
I like the purple theme on it.
Yeah. So we are continuing our 22 East music series with the Slick City Pickers. That's a tongue twister. On Saturday, October 12th at 11 a.m. through 1 p.m. at the Central Park Paseo at the Central Library and adjacent to the Museum of Neon Art. The Slick City Pickers bring a combination of California folk and bluegrass music led by Kevin Mahan and Dragutin Ilic. It's sure to be definitely a fun afternoon. So Tell Me Stories of Migration to Glendale is currently open and up through November 8th. Currently on exhibit at Reflect Space is Tell Me Stories of Migration to Glendale. Tell Me focuses on individual narratives, stories of origin and migration, which is a deeply intimate act similar to breaking bread. The Library Arts and Culture Department received both a California Humanities for All project grant and a California State Library California Listens grant that has enabled the library to interview, record, and share the stories of community members and how they came to live in Glendale and surrounding communities. Curators Ara and Anahid Oshagan are also working with the Inside Out project to bring Tell Me to the public in a big way by blanketing the library with images. The story of Glendale is also the story of its community members, and we will tell this narrative through portraits. While the Reflect Space exhibit focuses on video, the outside focuses on images. A large number of portraits of library visitors which reflect and make up the character of Glendale itself. So if you haven't had a chance to visit the Glendale Central Library, please stop by and see these beautiful faces that are gracing the exterior of the library. Commissioner Oshigan, is there anything you'd like to add or include?
No, I think you've explained it really well. I encourage people to come by and see it. We may actually thinking about maybe taking more portraits, and so we'll hopefully let the public know about that and put more pictures up of Glendalians around the library.
It's a beautiful exhibit, so congratulations. Oh, so sorry. So these are examples that we have of the beautiful portraits that are on the exterior. Next up, we have our Maker Fest on Saturday, September 21st from 10 a.m. to 2 o'clock at the Central Library. Maker Fest will feature free hands-on activities as well as high and low-tech demonstrations for the entire family, including 3D printing, Lego and Little Bits, music production, virtual reality, robotics, sewing, cricket design, arts and crafts, and more. One of the things that's really exciting is the Startup Showcase Kid Edition from 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock in the auditorium, and provides a powerful real-world educational experience for student founders, inventors, and philanthropists age 14 and under, giving these exceptional kids an exhibit, showcase, and stage to pitch their projects to Los Angeles tech and business leaders. So it's kind of like a Shark Tank for kids.
And there's some robotics teams as well that will be doing demonstrations there, so from schools.
Great. And then finally is our One Book, One Glendale with Susan Erlene, author of the library book. The library book is definitely the one book that everyone will be talking about in Glendale. In the library book, Susan Erlene chronicles the 1986 Los Angeles Public Library fire and its aftermath to showcase the larger, crucial role that libraries play in our lives. Author Susan Erlene will be in conversation with Director Gary Schaefer on Tuesday, October 7th at 7 p.m. at the Central Library. Monday, sorry. My typo. Monday's October 7th, as it is right on the screen. The library book's currently available on Lens, so make sure to go to the library and check it out and get your copy today. So that is the library report.
Thank you.
Cool. I'd like to make a comment. I did go to the opening reception for the Oshigan/JR collaborative project, and it was just wonderful. I was kind of disappointed that all the people whose pictures were taken weren't there. You know, that would have been really cool to see them live and see their reactions to their pictures. And I would encourage everybody to go to that wonderful event. I'd just like to add a couple more shameless sales pitches on the anniversary, if I may. This is the Brand Associates anniversary, just to maybe lure in a few more attendees. We will have lava lamps there, and we're going to give them away at the end because I don't think the Brand Library wants to have lava lamps as their normal desktop lamps. So those will be a giveaway, and we'll have a dozen hula hoops for everybody to get back into that groove. So, and also we're very pleased to have Mr. Goodboy, who is one of the preeminent DJs in Los Angeles. He makes his home at Ace 120, the Theater at Ace Hotel, and he sells vinyl records and spins them. So it's going to be a really fun dance party on the plaza that night. So please all do join in. Okay, next item.
Item 4, oral communications. There are none. Item 5, action item at 5A, report on the 2019 Open Arts and Music Festival, temporary art piece, and relocation of the art piece to the Central Library. At A1, motion to note and file.
Okay, so Chairperson Vidor, Vice Chair Zadorian, Commissioner Tufenkian, and Commissioner Oshigan. Again, Jennifer Fukutomi-Jones, Arts Administrator with the Library Arts and Culture Department. I'm happy to report on agenda item 5A, report on the Open Arts and Music Festival temporary art piece and relocation of the temporary art piece to Central Library. Let me just move quickly. So on July 18th, 2019, the Arts and Culture Commission approved a motion to fund a temporary art piece installation at the Open Arts and Music Festival through $5,000 in funds from the 2019-2020 work plan. These funds would help offset cost of the artist fee, materials, transport, installation, and removal of the temporary art piece installation, in addition to the Arts and Culture Commission being recognized as a sponsor on marketing materials. On August 15th, 2019, staff presented 3 finalists for the Open Arts and Music Festival Request for Proposals temporary art piece, and the Arts and Culture Commission approved a motion to fund related costs to the relocation of the temporary art piece during September 15th through 21, 2019, in conjunction with the 2019 Glendale Tech Week, in an amount not to exceed $5,000 from the 2019-20 work plan, and direct staff to confirm a location and work with the artist to relocate the temporary art piece. Following this meeting, the staff further assessed the finalist proposals and decided to move forward with the proposed artist Marco Pinter entitled Reflections. Reflections is an exploration of body, movement, and time, space, and dimension, and inside are 4 distinct interactive artworks, each exploring aspects of motion, embodiment, and connectedness. The space is divided into thermal gestures on one tactile wall, with a second interactive area that cycles between 3 body-based interactive exhibits: time dilation, fluid connections, and unraveled.
Do we have visuals on that?
Yeah, it's coming.
Oh.
Yeah, I wanted to describe the art piece first. Thermal gestures is this highly tactile and an experience where touch and breath become visible. The artwork creates a sense of awe and wonder in the public as the visitor touches the stretchy wall. So staff then worked with Glendale Arts to present Reflections, which was displayed at the Open Arts Music Festival on Saturday, September 14, 2019, from 3 to 10 p.m. Several participants enjoyed themselves with the temporary art piece, and especially children who love seeing themselves on the live screen. So the bottom right corner is Unraveled, which is one of the temporary pieces that are part of the exhibit. Immediately following, staff worked with artist Marco Pinter the next day to relocate the temporary art piece to the Central Library on Sunday, September 15th. We have received an overwhelmingly positive response to Reflections. Several families and Glendale Tech Week attendees have engaged with the installation throughout the week. So this is another installation of me playing with the time dilation exhibit. And we've had several families return to the Central Library. I actually met with a family that was in the installation. They were like, "Oh my God, this is amazing. This is the 3rd time I've been here this week. My daughter loves it." So actually, photo credit to Chair Vidor, this is a photo of Commissioner Oshigan and I guess Michael Gleason, who are participating with the thermal gestures. So as you can see with thermal gestures, it's all based on your body heat, and then when you leave the wall, it leaves an impression of your body heat on the wall. So I'll just leave that up there. So Reflections is currently on display at the Central Library through this Saturday, September 21st, and that is the report.
Perfect for it. Director Gary Schaefer, it'll be up there for the Maker Faire.
Yes.
So that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone have any comments or reflections on, pardon the pun, on this,
Yeah, so I'd like to say a few things about this installation. I think it has basically 2 lives. This installation, I think the first one that was actually outdoor in the Open Arts Music Festival, it was a little bit disappointing actually what I saw out there, because part of it was designed to work for 80 degrees or less environment. And so half of the installation was not working at all. I was there 7 or 8 o'clock and it was still not working because it was a 100-degree day that day. And also, I think
If you have any connections to help us with that, please let us know.
I don't pray, but so maybe there's somebody else. And also, I think it was a much more constricted space out during the Open Arts Festival, and so it felt much more claustrophobic when you walked in, and it was very hot, and part of it wasn't working, and the presentation was not as well as one would imagine it to be, as well as that piece should have been, actually, because it was a very interesting, engaging piece. And so I think there was an issue there about vetting exactly what's going to happen and how it's going to be deployed in that environment, and one has to expect any weather in September in Los Angeles, right? It could have rained, right? So, but I think the second half of it at the library is really, really engaging, really interesting. It has more space. It is presented better. As I said, I've returned to it a couple of times because it's really cool and it's really well done. So I think it's unfortunate that there wasn't a process that was created that could have been just as successful as it is right now, which I encourage people to go see as it was during the Open Arts Festival.
Well, and unfortunately with the heat being what it was, so I agree that we should look at the calendar. We can certainly look and see what weather is expected. That would have meant we didn't do this piece, but we had other submissions. I don't think it occurred to us that it wouldn't work in the heat, so point well taken, and we'll take that into consideration in the future, and might have to say no to certain pieces because, weather permitting. Had it rained, it probably would have worked quite nicely.
Yeah, probably, right? It would have been nice and cool. So, the artist should have said, well, I don't know what the process would have been, but somebody should have been told, if it's 80 degrees, it has to be 80 degrees or less for it to work.
Yeah.
Then maybe the choosing committee would have said, wait, we don't know. Is it going to be 80?
Yeah.
So
Right.
maybe another decision would have been made.
Yeah. So was he had only one screen going instead of
He
two?
had the two screens going, but I do know that the artist, none of us could anticipate how hot it was going to be. He brought his own portable AC unit, which he tried as best as possible, but it didn't work. It was just way too hot in the tent. It made like a little sauna, as you
Yeah.
experienced in the tent. But I do know he did input another image. It was like time dilation and interconnectedness, so he tried to improvise as much as he could on the spot. But yes, point taken, we will definitely make sure to consider that in the future.
And people were still enjoying it. I'm glad that really it was Commission's idea, it may have been Chair Vidor's, to move it to Central Library. Good call, because that, well,
It was you.
What?
It was you.
Well, I
It's in the
mean,
minutes.
At least we got, more use out of it, because it would have been just one day, and now we've had it for the whole week for Tech Week, so.
And it's been really successful at the library. And I can
Yeah.
see people going into it all the time. So it's been really.
Anyone, are you doing?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So how much was the relocation? How much did it cost to relocate? Are we going to talk about that, or is this the time to? ask
Sure,
that
we can.
question?
This is the topic,
Do you want
yeah.
to? Is it okay? Yeah. The artist was paid $2,000 as an artist fee to relocate the piece, and then the tent itself costs about $2,000. So it was under the $5,000 amount.
So 5,000 was paid for the day for the Open Arts Festival to the artist to do
As a
that, and then
co-sponsorship.
4,000 was paid for him to move it, and now for this whole week it's 4,000.
Yes.
So
Right.
9,000.
But I mean, 2,000 of that was the tent rental.
The tent,
So he received, and he had, it was a lower amount of the movement cost, so, so an additional 2,000 and then 2,000 for the
That-
tent rental.
That was also in consideration with reviewing the finalists, because all of the two other finalists, or at least one other finalist I know for sure, proposed the full $5,000 for the relocation.
So he had proposed 4,000 and he stayed with the 4,000, the budget, no?
He assumed it could go in a room somewhere, so he didn't budget for a tent or anything like that.
Oh, okay.
But because Commission had given us the latitude to go up to 5,000, we were able to keep it to 4,000, pay him his fee, and rent the tent.
No, it was a good decision, I think, because you need
Yeah.
space for that installation. And it's,
Okay,
Yes.
either Carolyn or Savannah, who's next?
Carolyn?
Well, I
Carolyn.
haven't seen it at the library, and I
Yeah.
will definitely make a trip to come see it. But I agree, when I went to visit Mark Pinter's exhibit there, it was too warm, and some of them didn't work. So perhaps it should have been inside. Maybe it could have been in the Alex Theater, in the lobby, or, so there's different things that could be done. But, yeah.
I did not make it to the festival. By the time I got back to Glendale, it was very late and the party was over. But from photos I saw, it looks great. And that photo you got of their exhibit is
Yeah.
Hilarious.
great shot. But thank you to Glendale Arts for organizing and making it happen every year.
Yeah, I won't repeat it, but I agree with Commissioner Oshigan's comments, but I think it went a little farther for me. There was, the venue, that's a very energetic, happening, noisy venue, and I think we have to really look closely at, art and where it's placed and what the purpose is. And for me, when I walked in, not only was it a little bit almost like it felt a little bit out of place, but it was quite a lot of improvements were made on the general appearance of it for the library. And you walked into a completely different setting. When you walked into the one at Open Arts, there was no screen on the bottom, so you're looking at all of the kind of back office of the piece, all the wires and the equipment and everything just laying there. And it felt very much like, when you have stuff in a tent that you're trying to hide from the public, like, all the electrical equipment, I kind of felt like I was walking into that kind of situation, not an art installation. So I think in addition to, it's probably fairly straightforward for us to get on top of vetting the piece and making sure everything's going to go like clockwork. But I think also the piece of art we're commissioning and the context has to be considered. And the Open Arts and Music Festival is wonderful. It's, got a lot of momentum, but in this case, I would just I would go as far as to say I don't think that was the right thing for this particular event. And I wish that our colleagues from Glendale Arts were here so we could engage in some discussion about that. And maybe we should have that discussion publicly another time. But, all's well that ended well, because people are seeing it now and it looks great and blah, 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 and having fun. That's what art's all about. But I think we need to revisit, our relationship with the festival and the type of art that would work for both the Tech Week or in separate things for Tech Week. And, because as part of Tech Week at the library, it's really, yeah, this belongs here. But with the other one, it was a little bit iffy, so.
Well, hindsight's always 20/20.
That's right. But you learn from hindsight.
Yes.
Okay, any more comments, and then we'll close it
If
down?
I could add something, I just
Yeah.
want to echo what Commissioner Dor said. I think there was maybe a disconnect in the way we approached it. We were thinking this is going to be Tech Week, but it was going to be related to Tech Week on that day at the Open Arts Festival. But
Yeah.
Open Arts Festival is really not very
It's
tech.
not related to Tech Week.
Not-
It's the
not-
opening of,
it's
the opening of Tech Week, and so that was what we were, they literally consider it part of it. So
Yeah.
whether we may all agree that it's not very tech,
But yeah, right. Maybe that's where the disconnect is,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because there's nothing else tech whatsoever except the
Yeah.
stage and all the stuff.
But we can also plan,
stuff.
I think part of it, and we can decide next year if we want to do it, we can decide next year if we want to go in a different direction. But it's kind of like, it could also serve to be, and I don't know that we had a sign there that said next to that tent saying Tech Week, Glendale, because it could also serve as kind of that entree into advising all those folks that are at the Open Arts Music Festival, and perhaps a missed opportunity that Tech Week is happening next week, and this is your little window into Tech Week, so.
Right, more connectivity, I think, would have definitely helped.
Yeah, with Tech Week, right. Okay. We can go on to the next item, I think.
Item 5B, report on the 2019 Glendale Tech Week Arts Programming. At 5B1, motion to note and file.
My apologies, there is a motion to note and file the report
Oh,
for the last one.
when, I have a question about motions to note and file, and maybe this is a legal question, but when there's a motion to note and file, if there are findings or things that should be mentioned in the note and file, because that's like, is it a courtesy or is it a report? Because we said a couple things here that are very relevant to that report, and should they be noted and filed with the additional comments?
Commissioner Vidor, members of the commission, Jillian Van Meiden, Chief Assistant City Attorney, sitting in for Mike Grant today. Nice to meet all of you. So on a note and file, typically it's just the report, but the direction is taken as part of the record. There's a video record of it. Staff is typically here making notes on the conversation, discussion, and taking that direction, and that's
Okay.
usually what we do in terms of Planning Commission, City Council, the other boards and commissions that I sit for. So I don't think it's necessary to add conditions to the note and file. It just formalizes the acceptance of that report within the record of the Arts and Culture Commission. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, that answers my question. Okay, where were we? We were going into Tech Week.
Making a motion.
Oh, making a motion for the first one. Okay, do I have a motion to note and file the report?
So I think, do we have to read this, motion?
Yes.
Well, the motion has been read in as part of the report, so it was a motion to note and file the report. So, and the title of that report has been read in, and so it's just simply taking the vote by the commission to note and file that report formally in the record.
So does that mean we motion to file? We don't have to explain the entire?
So this is the motion, right?
Simple.
So I can,
All right.
Go ahead.
moved by, somebody, and seconded by somebody else, that the Arts and Culture Commission hereby receives, notes, and files the update regarding the Open Arts and Music Festival, temporary art piece, and relocation to the Central Library as more particularly outlined in the September 19, 2019 report by the Library Arts and Culture Arts Administrator.
Seconded.
Okay, roll call.
Commissioners Oshigan,
Yes.
Tufankian.
Yes.
Vice Chair Zadorian.
Yes.
Chairperson Vidor.
Yes. Okay, next item.
Item 5B, report on the 2019 Glendale Tech Week Arts Programming. At At 5B1, motion to note and file.
Chairperson Vidor, Vice Chair Zadorian, Commissioner Tufenkian, Commissioner Oshagan, again, Jennifer Fukutomi Jones, Arts Administrator with the Library Arts and Culture Department, presenting on agenda item 5B, report on 2019 Glendale Tech Week Arts Programming. So happy Glendale Tech Week. We are currently in Tech Week right now. The City of Glendale's Economic Development Department has organized the 4th annual Glendale Tech Week, currently taking place through September 21st, 2019. On August 15th, 2019, the Arts and Culture Commission passed a motion to approve the co-sponsorship of the 2019 Glendale Tech Week and fund arts programming proposal by 2 local artists, Laura Darlington and Selwa Swaden, to provide arts and tech programs, exhibitions, performances, workshops, and discussions during Glendale Tech Week in the amount of $5,170 from the 2019-20 work plan. So, Stacked, which is currently on exhibition at 127 Artsock, is an exhibition of female artists working with digital media and emerging technologies, which opened on Saturday, September 14th, and will be on display at 127 Artsock through the 21st of September. So these are just pictures of the exhibition. Next we have, which is part of your exhibit.
Could I add just, having visited that exhibition, I mean, I encourage all of you to take advantage of it. What you didn't see in the shot was a VR demonstration. It's about 8 minutes long, but very cool there. Just really interesting pieces, some having to do, not that that's what it's all about, but climate change and whatnot, and pollution and everything, but it just very tasteful, very nice looking, very beautiful pieces. So some video, some other media, so just to encourage you to take a look at it.
Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to take a photo of the VR because I was doing the VR. So I should have just done a selfie or something.
We should have taken a picture of you.
Yeah. But it is a very great exhibit. So on Friday, September 20th, from 6 to 9 at the Central Library, there'll be a panel discussion entitled Women at the Frontiers of Creative Innovation, featuring Christina Fezero-Curley, who's an independent game designer, Samantha Gorman, co-founder of Tender Claws, Kate Parsons, who's co-founder of Float and faculty member at Pepperdine University, and Art Center College of Design, moderated by Selwa Swaden, who's an independent curator and faculty member at Loyola Marymount University. On Saturday, September 21st, from 12:30 to 3 at Industrious Glendale, there'll be 2 workshops hosted on augmented reality. The first is called Speculative Camera Filters and Co-Visioning with Augmented Reality, and a second workshop entitled Intro to Artificial Intelligence, Dissecting Artisanal Data Sets. And finally, on Saturday, September 21st, from 4 to 6, the Museum of Neon Art will host a pop-up exhibit entitled Floating Signifiers, which will be an interactive exhibition featuring augmented reality works of art. And so tonight is the Glendale Tech Awards Party, that's a part of it, which includes acknowledgement of the Arts and Culture Commission as a platinum sponsor. And that is the report.
Now, I noticed that there was a card here. So is that an invitation or is that just a notification? This is, I'm sure there's something came out, but I wasn't sure whether...
I wasn't sure what that was.
I didn't open them, so I don't know.
Oh, okay. It says Glendale Tech Week Awards Party invitation.
You're all invited.
We are invited. Okay, because I will. So we can.
I will take care of that.
Okay.
What time is it?
I know people.
5 o'clock.
It's at 5.
Today? 6
Yes. Yeah.
6 p.m.?
I sent an email with the invitation details. It's a iHeart Tech 2019, which is the code that you
And I
put.
think there was an email on it.
Yes.
So thank you very much for that excellent summary. And do we have any comments or questions? All right.
Yes.
What's going
So what are the hours for the exhibition that's happening on the exhibition? What's it called?
The stacked exhibition or
Stacked.
the
Yeah, the stack. Because I went by there and it was not open.
Sure.
So I wanted to know what the hours are.
I believe the hours are 1 to 4, but they're all listed on the Glendale Tech Week website. They're trying as much as possible to make sure that there's a staff person, obviously, with the exhibit and managing the art pieces. So I know on Saturday, September 21st, there's going to be another person there while Selwa and Laura are doing the 2 workshops. So it'll be open.
It's open until 4 o'clock today. So if you want to head over there after this meeting, excellent time to see it.
Yeah, I definitely want to see it.
It's just 1 to 4 daily?
1 to 4, I believe daily, but I'm not sure. It's available on the Tech Week website. I do know that the floating signifiers is just the pop-up exhibit on Saturday from 4 to 6. So that's a separate one at the Museum of Neon Art. That's only 4 to 6 on that Saturday.
And I say it's 1 to 4 on Friday. So 1 to 4 today, 1 to 4 on Friday, and then, as Jennifer said, 1 to 6 on Saturday. And that'll probably be...
Sorry, was it scheduled to be open on Tuesday? Because I was there Tuesday
I don't know that it is. No, I don't show it as being open on Tuesday.
Anyone else have any questions or comments? Okay. I'll go, and then if there's a second round, we can go a second round. You do? Okay.
I do suggest if we can keep the names of these artists on file just for future use. I mean, this is kind of what we've been discussing, kind of techie art for Glendale. So if we can just keep in contact with them, I don't know if they're from Glendale or not, just keep them on our radar.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I walked Artsock Plaza the other day, and I was just so impressed with the way the whole thing looked. I mean, the production values there, and the art itself, and the mix of things is really extraordinarily interesting and exciting. And this certainly seems like something that, you know, we want to be more involved in and co-support with economic development. I mean, the arts and economic development and technology in the arts are also interconnected. And this is such a great example. There's so many great examples of that in Tech Week. So, yeah, I would encourage everyone to go, and I'm going to try to make another sweep through and see everything, and definitely try to attend the Mona exhibit as well. So kudos to economic development for the work they did on Tech Week, and thanking the Commission for their support as well. Anything else? Okay, next item.
You have a motion to note.
Oh, we need a motion. I'm sorry, I'm just motion averse. Do I have a motion to note and file the report on Tech Week?
I motion to file.
Second?
Oh, sorry, move.
Oh, yeah.
Second. I'll second.
All right, roll call.
Commissioners Oshigan,
Yes.
Tufankian,
Yes.
Vice Chair Zadorian,
Yes.
Chairperson Vidor.
Yes. Next item.
Item 5C, report on the 2019 Dia de los Muertos call for submission. At 5C1, motion to note and file.
So again, Chairperson Vidor, Vice Chair Zadorian, Commissioner Tufinkin, Commissioner Oshagan, happy to report on agenda item 5C, report on the Dia de los Muertos call for submissions. On Saturday, November 2nd, 4 to 9 p.m., the Glendale Latino Association, in partnership with the Office of the City Clerk and Election Services Department, will host the second annual Dia de los Muertos celebration on Artsock Avenue between Wilson and Broadway. Last year, the event drew over 1,000 people and featured performances and activities for children. 1 week prior to last year's celebration, the Library and Culture Department hosted an ofrenda, which is a community altar, which is a collection of objects such as photos that honor loved ones who have passed away. On August 15th, 2019, the Arts and Culture Commission approved a motion to co-sponsor the 2019 Dia de los Muertos celebration and funded temporary artwork related to the 2019 Dia de los Muertos celebration in an amount not to exceed $5,000 from the 2019-20 work plan, and fund additional public art projections and ancillary public art in the amount not to exceed $5,000 from the 2019-20 work plan. So staff is currently working with artist Monique Safridi. Oh, this is the old
I'm
one.
so sorry.
Sorry, technical issue. Here we go. So staff is currently working with artist Monique Safridi to lend her artwork Dead Keys to be featured as part of the Arts and Culture Commission's funding of public art projections and ancillary public art as part of the Dia de los Muertos celebration. So I don't know if you can clearly see, but the background is made out of computer keys, which is a really intricate and beautiful design, and we're excited to be working with Ms. Safridi. So following the August 15th, 2019 meeting, staff opened the Dia de los Muertos celebration call for submissions as referenced in Exhibit A, which staff released on Cafe Call for Entry, which is a web-based application management system through the Western Arts Federation. The call for submission was opened on August 26, 2019 and closed last Friday, September 13th, 2019. On September 17, 2019, staff met with representatives of the Glendale Latino Association for a preliminary application review to discuss the scope of work and review applications that met guidelines and requirements for the call for submissions. The following prompts were the focal point in reviewing the scope of work for the applications. 1, does the artwork acknowledge the purpose of Dia de los Muertos? 2, does the artwork acknowledge the cultural heritage of Dia de los Muertos? 3, does the artwork have the ability for engagement during day and nighttime hours? And 4, can the artwork be moved to an alternate location? Through this preliminary review panel, we would like to present 3 applications that met the required guidelines and are within the scope of work listed for the call for submissions. So this is the first submission called albrijes. In the Mexican culture, albrijes are fantastical creatures, usually a blend of different animals made of cardboard and vibrant colors. They are an important part of Mexico's rich cultural legacy, and in Mexico City anticipates celebration of albrijes during the Dia de los Muertos celebration with a parade. Albrijes represent mythological beings, a spiritual connection between a person and an animal, with the latter serving as a guide and protector in and after life. These life-size papier-mâché piñata sculptures will be an installation using different patterns using a colorful background and have LED color-changing spotlights. The second application is called Yangva Vive. Yangva Vive is an altar to the Tongva, the first peoples of Los Angeles. Land acknowledgements have become a clear way of honoring those original families and the lands we live on. In the Dia de los Muertos tradition of honoring our ancestors, this altar will be used as a way to remember the original stewards of these lands and serve as an educational tool for the Glendale community to learn about the Tongva and other First Nation peoples of Los Angeles County. The altar will be constructed on a 4-tier platform, incorporating all of the usual elements found on Dia de los Muertos altars, such as photos, but because this altar is specific to California natives, the usual plants and flowers, such as marigolds, will be replaced by California native plants, such as white sage, elderberry, willow, poppies, and other plants as a way to educate the community about the importance of the flora of the area. And this is the third application. It's called Here's to Life. It's a celebration of life. Skeletons enjoy a moment around a fire as friends, as stars, and emanate their hearts, symbolizing a connection, each other, and the things around them. The scene is magical and conjures a feeling of great reverence for life and loved ones. This temporary art installation would be a 10 by 10 foot, and people could take pictures in and in front of it. These applications are all eligible for consideration, and staff will confirm a finalist. Notifications are planned to be sent out by September 25th, 2019, with the goal of confirming the artist by September 27th, 2019, so that it provides the artist ample time to prepare for the November 2nd Dia de los Muertos celebration. All the aforementioned applications are within the scope of work and meet the budget guidelines of relocating the temporary art piece to an alternate location.
How is the final choice selected? Who does that?
So that Commissioner Chair Vidor and fellow commissioners, so we, as Jennifer said, we met with the Glendale Latino Association. We reviewed all applications submitted and then narrowed it to these seem to be the most in the spirit of what the original call was outlined as, and so looked at these, and now it's a matter of is the artist available? Can they meet the requirements and whatnot? So we've kind of narrowed it down to these 3 right now.
Out of how many?
I believe 17 total.
Any comments, questions? We'll make a round.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Can you go back to the first, the paper maches? Oh. Sorry. Oh. Can you go back? Oh, sorry, so it's the second one. So this one's going to be made from paper mache. Do we know how the scale of it?
So I don't know if you can tell, but there's a kind of white background
Oh, is
of
that
a
supposed to be a
person. That's the
person?
life size.
Okay, okay, I understood that. So this is going to be a pretty large
It's pretty large.
installation. And the one before that is just a regular Because I'm looking at the key size, I assume
Sure.
it's a regular
That
portrait
is
painting
something
size.
separate. That is the projection piece that will be projected on the side of the library, and that's a copyright piece that we're using to help with promotional materials for the Dia de los Muertos celebration.
Oh,
So that's something
okay.
separate.
That's
Oh, the
one
first
These
one.
are the three
Oh,
applications that
okay.
are.
That's not,
Okay.
yeah.
Understood. And then the one after this, can you please go, I'm just trying to understand the scale of these. So this one, how large is this? Is this the size of, let's say, like a stage podium or?
It's basically, do you
I thought it was 10 by 10.
I think it is 10 by 10.
So it's fairly
10
large,
feet.
yeah.
And there are
I-
pictures that are going to be put on the various steps.
Right, as well as plants and fresh flowers,
Okay,
so,
people be able to
right.
interact.
I don't know if you recall, we had an altar in the
Yeah.
Central
Yes,
Library
yes,
last
okay,
year.
understood now. Okay, and then there was one more?
The third one?
And this one is a 10 foot by 10 foot, and you said in and in front of it. What does that mean, in it?
So it's, go ahead.
It's like a giant diorama. So you can literally, it's 3D,
Okay.
so,
Oh, it's 3D.
Sculptural, you mean?
yeah. With like faux cactus and
Is it gonna be against the wall?
skeletons and,
Oh.
yeah.
So you can walk
Yeah.
into it. I'm envisioning like a room installed in a room or something.
It would, the way we would install is outside, so it would be, my only concern is what happens when someone knocks over the cactus and sits in the skeleton's lap, but anyway.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so they're all 3D, that's great.
Yes.
Anybody else want to say anything? No? Okay, I think we,
Actually, I had a question. So, we had this issue with last time, where the commission, none of the members of the commission were involved in the decision process. And I'm surprised that we are still not involved in this process in decision-making and looking at the artwork.
So in your notebook that you were provided, it talks about the role of commissioners, and the role is really that of advisors and advisory. So the hope is in the future, and we discussed last time, getting calls to you so that they would be included in the packet. This one, for time purposes, we couldn't get the call into the packet. So in the future, and it's not so that we can wordsmith through the document here at the meeting, it's more, did we capture the spirit of what you're looking for? But the role per municipal code is really for staff to do this work and work through it. Truth be told, we could just present this at the festival and be done. We're trying to time things so we could at least bring you in at this time so we can share kind of where we're headed. Like, no artist has been notified right now, so if someone were to say, oh my goodness, I'm, afraid of magical creatures, please don't do that, it would be I say that a bit in jest, but we would take anything you have into consideration, but really the role of commissioners is that of advisors, not of choosing the art pieces, so.
Well, historically, we have been included in all these kinds of decisions. In fact, we have meetings coming up to look at, for instance, the murals on the utility boxes and other processes, the art that's going to go in the gas station. So we have always been included. As far as I've been on this commission, we have been included in every art installation decision made that we paid for, because we, as commissioners, are responsible to the public.
I'm sorry, you pay for?
We, as commission, are funding,
Okay.
right? And so we are responsible to the public. And so it's very important for us to be involved in the process, to be included in the process, I think. I don't know what my fellow commissioners think about that, but.
anybody have any comments about that?
Me and Caroline did meet for the Adams Square Mini Park. It was literally an hour-long meeting. We recommended as advisors, but we still had a hand in the process, which we actually enjoyed very much. And it actually turned out that Jennifer had kind of summed it down, and we chose to look at a few options that she hadn't chosen. We ended up recommending one that wasn't on the list. So those are things that might not have happened had we not been involved in the process. And I do agree with Otto, we should be involved in every single process, especially when there is sponsorship involved.
So in that case, so Jennifer had done a lot of the legwork, and that was
Yeah.
why that was an hour-long meeting. So with utility boxes, we are likely to get 132 applications. It is not in the best interest of commission based on a volunteer position for you guys to go through 132, especially when some aren't even physically possible to do. And so we narrow it down, and we're again looking for direction. Not even, yes, recommendation, but the other option is to hold it would have to be a public meeting if you all wish to bring it together. And that may seem fine to you because it's a meeting, whether it's public or not, doesn't matter to me. For staff, I estimate 30 hours of staff time and work in order to put a meeting together.
But we don't need a meeting unless there's more than 2 of us there. If there's only 2 of us there,
No, if you guys are going to be making exact decisions, city attorney's office says it will have to be a public meeting, even if it's only 2 of you there.
It's a recommendation.
Right, so do you want to come, have the artists come, and you can defend to them why you're choosing the pieces you're choosing, or how would you like to do it? I recommend you allow staff to whittle the list down, get it down to manageable, because even in the Dia de los Muertos things, there were pieces that have nothing to do with Mexican culture. So in the utility boxes, we've gotten submissions that are physically impossible to look at. So this is how city attorney's office at this time is determining it should be done, and so we are simply following the code and following policy around that. So.
I completely understand that, but how many submissions were there for the Adams Square Mini Park?
I believe there were 27 or 28.
27 or 28. So this one has 17 submissions, so I don't find a problem going through 17 submissions.
So how many submissions were there for the previous piece for Tech Week?
There was about 60.
Okay. So I understand that we don't want to hold a public meeting. I understand we only are allowed to advise at the moment and kind of direct. But if we're all on board and 2 of us do want to take part, I don't see a problem with that. In being part of the process. If we've done it for all these other projects, why not this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have a process in place to deal with the utility boxes as well as other programs that we have. And I'm not understanding why that process that, yes, if we have 100 applications, the staff should vet it, and they've always vetted, and we only see the ones that really make sense, as you were saying. Why isn't that process being applied to first the Open Arts Festival? It didn't happen for that, and now it didn't happen
because
for
this is the staff's job. This is what staff does.
But we're
This is
funding
what staff are paid to do. This is what the city of Glendale funds, and they ask you to advise them on the process. So.
Counselor.
Madam Chair, members of the commission and staff, if I could just weigh in a little bit on this issue. Some boards and commissions are charged with a quasi-judicial function that requires public hearings, such as the Planning Commission when it's making decisions on private property rights under zoning and things of that nature. The nature of this particular board, as has been indicated, is one that acts as an advisor to the City Council on policy issues. And so that role is a little bit different than a quasi-judicial function that might involve a selection process or decision-making. I think that part of what the board does, and has been recognized in the discussion so far, is providing that direction and input through, after staff, for example, has gone through a laborious process of pre-screening, which happens frequently, not just for purposes of Arts and Culture Commission, but also happens for purposes of RFPs that come to the City Council, where staff has undertaken sort of that preliminary legwork to determine whether those applicants are the applications or the art pieces or whatever even comply with the physical requirements and the specifications for the application. So if those can be weeded out, you can certainly work up a process for looking at those that would otherwise qualify. But then remember, it wouldn't be for purposes of necessary of making a selection, but for providing sort of a policy direction on how that process should be undertaken. And that's really about it. Just sort of like to provide you with some information about that.
Thank you.
Distinction.
Yeah. Caroline, do you have anything?
Hopefully that was helpful.
I'm going to jump ahead and ask about, let's say, one of the iconic iconic sculpture comes up, would we have any kind of say on that?
You certainly do. I mean, your say is again in the direction where we're looking at what we're going. We would bring anything back to you. We plan to bring a consultant on board for something of that magnitude. We would engage commission on that, but ultimately the responsibility falls on staff. And please understand, I'm trying to work within the framework of the law.
And also, you said, you mentioned that you might bring on an advisor. Would we have a say in recommending advisors, or?
Actually, unfortunately, no, per city law. Certainly, you can recommend, you can advise, you can let people know. Obviously, if there's a personal relationship or business relationship, that would need to be disclosed because if you have signed a conflict of interest statement. So we're trying to engage as much as we can without stepping into a conflict or violating law.
Okay. I'll make my comments and then we can go another round if we need to. Maybe we won't. I agree with my fellow commissioners, and perhaps there's a way to make a compromise here that's reasonable, because in some ways these larger art projects are analogous to things like the Adams Square Mini Park and the utility box. So, but I understand that it wouldn't be in anybody's interest and probably get quite tedious to try to intervene on the screening and vetting process. So maybe there's a point at which staff screens and vets a large quantity of applications that come in, and when we get down to the finalists, then we have a meeting that would be similar to the type we have for when we are involved. So one or two commissioners sits in that group to say, to at least register their vote. In this case, it would be these three that have already been, I guess, whittled down to these three as finalists, with the Latino Association also weighing in. And so there is a third party there, but perhaps it would be for the final. Is somebody from the Latino Association going to be at the final decision? I assume yes.
We met, we have narrowed it to these three. They were presented in a 1, 2, 3 order. Barring any issue, the first person shown would be the person selected.
Oh, so in other words, this is first place, second place, runner-up.
Yes.
Oh. Okay, so the decision has already been made here, but...
But we're bringing it here before artists have been notified to if anyone wishes to weigh in on these three choices, we would welcome any comments you have on them. Any, if you are don't care for number one, we would take that back to the Latino Association and see, is there any room for changes there? So
well, that's nice, except that now it seems like sort of after the fact, it's an after the decision has been made, which makes it a little bit awkward. And if it would be possible, and I don't see how it's any different legally, couldn't that meeting where win, place, show are selected include a rep from the commission?
Well, we don't have any. You chose to set up committees very stringent, like brand associates versus music. So we have Adams Square Mini Park. This doesn't fall into that committee. So we don't have any committees that work outside of that kind of framework.
Well, I was thinking that maybe what we need to do is consider, and it could certainly be rotating, but a public art, whatever we want to call it, selection committee in which the members of the commission rotate in. So or
we could bring, I don't know that this room would be available for 6 hours that it would take to go through all the applications, but if you wanted to, we could hold a meeting of the Arts and Culture Commission, bring all of them here, have you all weigh in and decide on that. That is an option. I would opt that would be this particular meeting. It wouldn't be an additional
not an extra
meeting.
meeting. No, it could be. It could very
and so
well
we
be
would go through. I just don't think it is the best, interest of your time to take the amount of time that it takes to go through and whittle these through.
I can't imagine us having a commission meeting that includes
and we're also looking
things
for policy direction. I am not an expert in this. we have an expert in this, we have an arts administrator, so, you know.
Right, but is there any issue with, you know, and I'm making a big compromise here, and I'm sure my fellow commissioners will, you know, either think it's too much or it isn't too much, but couldn't we at least be, you know, when that, whatever it is, whatever room we're sitting in, to rank and select one of these public art pieces, could we not, you know, make a policy to include a representative commissioner in that decision-making process?
That would be something we'd have to put in front of city attorney to determine that the current ordinance does not cover that.
City attorney's happy to look at these options
Okay.
and come back and provide a
That would be
report.
really helpful, I think, to explore that a little more, because, you know, Adams Square and the utility boxes is all old hat for us, but we're in kind of a new area here, so we're thinking about things we haven't thought about before, and it would be good to study it a little bit further, I think, and keep the
This-
conversation going.
City does not like to hold commission meetings outside of this room because this is recorded in that, and it's just whether it's available for, you know, 5 to 6 hours at a time for you all to go through
Like I said,
monotonous
I'm
amount of
talking about the
applications.
I'm talking about the finalists. I'm not talking about the whole vetting process.
Okay.
We don't need another room. We don't need a formal commission.
Or 5-6 hours.
Or 5-6 hours even. We're looking at, I'm talking about, in this case, the meeting where whoever was involved, plus the rep from the Latino Association, that there would be one commissioner.
Yeah, and hopefully they're available. You know, keep in mind, these people work and have jobs and may not be
I
available.
understand
so.
that, but we're looking at the legality of it first, because if it's not legal, then it's off the table, but we don't even know. So if legal could check into that and see whether we could be part of the assessment of the finalists, not as a commission, but as one representative, then I think it's worth looking into, and that would be a reasonable, maybe not perfect, but a reasonable compromise between not being involved at all, which we're not, to at least being part of the process at some point, even the end point.
So again, this was an attempt to bring you into the process by sharing these with you.
Yes,
If there was
we
something
appreciate that.
you didn't care for, we would certainly take that under full consideration and would work. If someone was adamantly opposed to any of the pieces, and we would work to move away from those, because your input is very valued.
Right, I see, but, and I appreciate that, we all do, but the choice has been made, and to be asked for an opinion after the fact is always a little bit awkward.
My apologies. The choices were, these were the, you know, they're all very different. So the choices came up of 1, 2, and 3. This was just as the group there was saying. But that doesn't mean that, you know, we still, people liked number 2 and they liked number 3. And if commission felt strongly opposed to number 1, then we would move to one of the others, and people would be just as happy with that.
Right. So we have an extra step here. If one person had been involved in that meeting, we wouldn't necessarily have to preempt, or, I mean, I'm not.
And again, we're following the law, and the law is, as it's
Right.
written right
Okay.
now, doesn't allow for that.
We'll look forward to hearing from Ms. I can't see your last name, I'm sorry. Nice to meet you.
Excuse me, my name's Jillian Van Meiden.
Van Meiden,
yeah.
okay.
Thank you.
So,
It'll probably be Mike Grant who will report back to
okay,
you. Okay.
thank you.
Now, how
Okay.
would we hear back regarding this? The decision?
At a commission meeting, whether it can be resolved by the next meeting, we don't know. The legal has much on their plates, and so,
So, okay, and you'll let us know when to agendize it?
of course.
To be agendized, okay.
Yes. And, you know, just to be clear, since it's sort of getting a little tense, I respect your opinion, we all do, and certainly Jennifer Fukutomi-Jones's opinion. She's an arts administrator, she's an expert. This is more, it's not a questioning of anybody's judgment, it's just a process issue.
Yeah.
And we're going with, the commission is a policy-setting body. not an art selection body by the nature of as the ordinance is written now. We'll see if there's flexibility within that to incorporate that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Arla wants to speak.
I have a question. So I would like to give my opinion on whether one is better than the other, but I really don't have enough information to make a judgment. And so maybe you could tell us what judgment, what process you went through to select the first one to be the best, second, third, and why you think they would work best in what way, and what are the pros and cons of the different pieces, so we can actually have, say something about it, because this is our time now to comment on this process.
And maybe a word or two about the artists.
Sure. So I mentioned in the presentation that the 4 things that we were looking for in reviewing these applications was, does the artwork acknowledge the purpose of Dia de los Muertos? Does the artwork acknowledge the cultural heritage of Dia de los Muertos? Does the artwork have the ability for engagement during daytime and nighttime hours? And can the artwork be moved to an alternate location? So I'm not quite sure in regards to, do you want me to discuss, I don't have their information in front of me, but do you want me to discuss who the artist is? And I don't have that information in front of me. I could present that at another time, or I don't know what the ordinance states in regards to how that's possible.
Well, could I make a suggestion in the interest of time? I think that's an excellent point that you both just made about really understanding the process so we can become more integrated into it, and certainly to be able to speak to the pieces as representatives of the arts in the community, not just to say, well, it was selected, I can't tell you why. It would really be enlightening, but I don't think we should expect you to do that on the spot now. So since this one is pretty much a done deal, would it be possible to bring this back and just get, let you recollect the information and just, talk about the artists a little bit, who are they and what they do. Doesn't have to be a full debrief on their resumes, and then kind of what the discussion was, like why did one piece supersede another, and what was it that was so attractive about the 3?
Sure,
how did they rise to the top? That would be very educational.
I can do a quick summary of the 3 top. I can't go into detail about their background and where they went to college and things like that,
Well,
but I can do a quick summary.
We could bring it back just for informational purposes.
Can you go back? I don't think this goes backwards. Yeah, it blocks up. But for this first piece, Albrijes, this specifically spoke to the panel because it connected most with the Dia de los Muertos culture, based on the paper mache, the colors that are incorporated as part of the celebration, the height and the engagement that it would have with passersby, and also Albrijes itself is a very mythological creature that's very well known within the Mexican culture and within the celebration. So the panel felt that this piece really spoke to the celebration in regards to the 4 topics that I mentioned, in regards to understanding the purpose and acknowledging the purpose of Dia de los Muertos, acknowledging the cultural history, can it be engaged during daytime and nighttime hours, and what is the possibility of relocation? So the second...
So there'll be 3 pieces like this? Is this what the artist is proposing?
Yes.
And the idea is that they'll be close like this because that person is walking through their...
It's not necessarily...
What's the footprint on the ground, which is very interesting?
There are 3 individual pieces, from what I understood. Each piece, as you can see, that's kind of a diagram of the height of the piece. Okay. So one piece, I think, was proposed to be 11 feet tall. So it kind of gives you an idea of the scale. This is really intended to be scale. From my understanding, it was 3 separate pieces. One could potentially be displayed at the Central Library or wherever we decide to choose, but that was the idea of the relocation of the piece. It is possible to relocate the piece.
It isn't like a cluster like it's presented.
It doesn't have to be, no.
It doesn't have to be.
No.
So that would be easy to move to the Central Library for us.
Mm-hmm. And that's why it was one of the top finalists, due to the 4 categories that I mentioned.
And this artist is an expert in paper mache, I'm assuming, or he or she?
I'm sorry, I don't have their resume in front of me, but from my understanding, he had done these type of paper mache artwork before. He is a resident of Glendale, which was another reason why he was one of the top finalists as well.
Oh, that's very important too. Yeah.
What's the cost?
Name?
Sorry.
I don't think I'm allowed to say their last name because the notifications haven't been sent yet.
Oh, okay.
What's the cost of the installation, let's say location?
Is it okay to say the cost of relocation?
No, just the cost in general.
The proposed budget is what they're asking.
Certainly, yes.
The proposed, what he proposed was $3,200. So these
under
three
budget.
pieces.
Okay.
Thank you.
The relocation fee, did he talk about that, or the
That was
relocation cost?
all-inclusive.
That's all
All-inclusive.
inclusive? Oh, wow, that's a bargain.
Any other questions
And
regarding
whose,
this piece?
whose hands does this end up in? The artist takes it back when
Yes.
Dios de los Muertos
Yes.
is over? Okay. All right.
Any other questions regarding this piece?
No, I would still like to suggest, and maybe I need to carry this into commissioner comments, that we just maybe get a little bit more about the artists at a future meeting.
Sure, that's absolutely great feedback and good to know.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. All right.
So this artist is Tongva Vive. As Gary mentioned, the footprint would be about 10 by 10. It's a 4-tiered piece with an altar in the background, again, using all California native plants. This, again, met the 4 criteria in regards to acknowledging the cultural heritage, acknowledging the purpose of Dia de los Muertos, and is it able to relocate, and is it able to have engagement during day and nighttime hours. This peak specifically spoke to the panel because it was the land acknowledgement of the Tongva people, and also the opportunity for it to be an educational piece with the residents of Glendale in regards to the flora and the fauna, and also the land acknowledgement of the Tongva people.
And the cost of this one?
This was the full $5,000.
How much?
$5,000, the full proposed.
And so how high are the steps?
I believe each step was about a foot. It looks a little bigger in the picture, but I believe each tier was about a foot. It might be 2 more, but again, I'm sorry, I don't have the specifics.
No, it's okay, it doesn't
It's
have to
about
be
a foot
exact,
for
right?
for each tier.
And it'll be covered with these flowers, essentially, right? And you know, and what's the material of the platform?
He didn't mention what the material of the platform would be. I'm assuming it would be probably a wood platform at the bottom, but he was also going to incorporate photos and, of course, information about the Tongva people for the land acknowledgement.
So it's kind of an ofrenda at the same time.
It is an ofrenda.
It is an ofrenda that acknowledges the Tongva
Right.
heritage here. Yeah. And what's that?
So this would be kind of a backdrop that he would have as part of the altar. He didn't include what would be on the backdrop of that piece, but it would be attached as a kind of backdrop to the ofrenda, which I'm assuming would incorporate the flora, which he mentions above. Any other questions about the piece? No? Okay, and this was the last piece, Here's to Life. So again, this met all the 4 criteria of the acknowledgement. The panel really enjoyed the spirit that was conveyed as part of this piece, specifically with the skeletons and the honoring of the Day of the Dead. This piece really incorporated all the cultural aspects with the cactus and the music and the ambiance that was created as part of the celebration. The panel really enjoyed the fact that it could be an engagement piece in regards to it being a type of diorama where people could go and take a photo or be in part and engage with the skeletons or be a part of the atmosphere.
And what's the material?
He did not mention materials. He did mention that the cactus that are proposed would be faux cactus, so I'm assuming that all of the materials as far as plants related would be faux material, but he did not allude to the actual materials of each piece.
Okay, so I think now we kind of have a feel for the types of information we want to see, and hopefully.
Absolutely. And again, in the future, this is great feedback. I can make sure to bring more information about the artist and more details about the piece as well.
Okay,
And
fantastic.
what was the cost of this one?
This was, I think it was the full 5,000.
It looks like it would be.
Yes, the full 5,000.
Okay,
Okay.
great. Thank you. Thank you very much for all the information. Let's go on. Next item.
We have to make a motion.
Oh,
Motion to note and file.
motion averse. Oh, my God. I'm allergic to motions.
All right,
Do I have a motion to note and file
Yes.
Dios de los Muertos?
All right, moved by Caroline. I will,
I second.
I'll motion to note and file.
Okay, second.
I second.
Second. All, roll call.
Commissioners Oshagan,
Yes.
Tufenkian,
Yes.
Vice Chair Zadorian,
Yes.
Chairperson Vidor.
Yes. Next item.
Item 5D, report on the Arts and Culture Commission website. 5D1, motion to note and file.
Chair Vidor, Vice Chair Zadorian, Commissioners Tuvinkian and Oshigan, Jennifer Fukutomi-Jones, Arts Administrator with the Library Arts and Culture Department. The City of Glendale's Library Arts and Culture Department engaged Circle 6 to build a web platform template for the Arts and Culture Commission's website. In July of 2019, staff met with Circle 6 to discuss the preliminary infrastructure of the website, and on August 29, 2019, staff met with Circle 6 to further develop the content of the Arts and Culture Commission website. And today we have Helena and Armin Grigorian, who are from Circle 6, who are going to present on the preliminary template for the Arts and Culture Commission website.
So I have a card from Helena and Armin. Is this, you're going to speak now, right? Okay.
I'm Helena.
So the card is from Helena and Armin Grigorian. So please tell us all about it.
Okay, great. Hi, everybody. I'm Helena Grigorian. This is Armin Grigorian. We're here today to give you an overview of the Arts and Culture website that we've been working on so far. This isn't live, so
Yes.
you can, obviously, the site and the Wix and stuff is not going to be there. We created this the Arts and Culture site with the viewer in mind, creating easy navigation, bright colors, a lot of white space, and multiple access points for the viewer to see. So the first page this is the home page that we're looking at. So you just scroll down a little bit to kind of see a small paragraph in the middle about what this is. Bold boxes on the bottom call for artists, so that when we start getting more calls for artists, this is where they would go. An arts calendar, program and events, and a public art map, which is links to the Urbanites that you guys have already so there's that. So right now, all this is still, this will stay that way. This is the Urbanites. This is what you guys have already commissioned and have.
Now, where is this coming from, Co-Urbanize? Where is that link to the site? I didn't see that.
Gary, you know more about the Urbanites, right?
Oh, no, I think she meant where it was on the site.
Oh,
it's the
yeah.
public
Oh.
art map.
Oh, sorry.
So Co-Urbanize is not, Co-Urbanize is a separate platform. Is
Yes.
that part?
Right.
Is that integrated?
And that's where we have all the public comments for people that conveyed about art and where they saw something, where they thought something could go. So obviously we want to link to that site.
Right. It's not, is it currently active and dynamic, or is it closed?
It's active in that you can see it there. It's not dynamic. The cost is actually pretty exponential to make it dynamic again.
Got it. Okay.
And the Urbanize, we looked into embedding it on a page specific to the commission website, so people are not leaving the website, which is really optimally what you want. However, there are some challenges because Urbanize has its own servers, et cetera, and some portions may break once you embed it. Well, we are looking into that to be able to actually include it on the site itself.
Co-Urbanize was a wonderful platform that was being used to help develop the community's wishes and needs for public art. And it seems to me, and please object if you don't agree, that this is something we should always have and hold and keep. But, you know, we're trying to deal with the here and now and the future and not go back and revisit. You know, the urban art program is in force, it's in play, it's developing. And I don't understand why we would even...
Oh, we don't have to. I mean, I thought that was something you guys were looking at, but yes, it stays in existence.
Yes.
But we can start like our own new map separate from Co-Urbanize.
Yes.
That we could
Yes.
place existing public art on.
I think that would be much better, too.
No, that's...
We can take that off.
Okay. I think what Co-Urbanize, as we've discussed, is the place where the people who are the real passionate, engaged stakeholders exist, and knowing who those people are is extremely important to us. But yeah, we'll take it off and put a new map.
Well,
Absolutely.
how about if we don't take that whole link or button off and we change it to existing art that around the city?
Right. But that wouldn't be co-urbanized.
No, it won't be coordinated,
Yeah.
but the link had a title, the red
Yeah.
box. What was
Public
the
art
title?
map.
Public
Yeah.
art map. So
Public art
it would
map.
be existing.
We can
Yeah.
link it to wherever, this was already, the co-urbanize was an existing link
Yes.
with all the places that
Feedback
already
and-
exist. We currently don't have another map that has all those
Yeah.
points.
I think
I
we
think
need,
the
we
one
need
thing
We can get
we,
that. We
Yeah.
can link that, I'm so sorry, Gary.
No
to
worries.
have
I just
that-
wanted to say,
that
we can
public
link
art map.
that public art map to anything, or even on the site.
Well, I
Sorry,
think
Gary.
the public art map should actually be developed and exist as part of the website, and maybe it would only have 5 things on it now, and that's okay, but
And hopefully
we're going to just keep
grow.
updating that and updating that. So if we could make a new map, that would be great, and just start putting things on, what exists now, and then what will come later.
From my understanding, the public art button, if you can scroll down, Armin, is exactly what you're talking about, and that eventually that would be a public art archive of the city. The co-urbanize was more of an example of how it would work.
Right. And it's not even really that attractive. I mean, co-urbanized was really a database, a working database, and I wouldn't even want to, I thought it was great, but it's so aesthetically, it's more like a database that happens to have a visual map
Right.
with it. It's not very attractive, so,
we would probably use Google Maps just because it's, quite frankly, the most cost-effective thing to use, and then place art on it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
I can show you one of the Google Maps options right here. Basically, these menus here, we have the home button, the about button, about the commission, and different programs. Most of them are thrown under this one menu, and of course, they can be categorized with sub-menus. I just threw it up there for easier access for this presentation. If you look at the Beyond the Box has this map, which is a Google map, which is still a little utilitarian looking. And if you click on a link, it gives you the information, but aesthetically, I think it would be much nicer to have something built visually that
Yeah.
blends
Oh,
easier.
what are the
So this is an
different colors?
example of a Google map embedded in.
I mean, it was so many
Is
boxes.
this part of your design then, right now?
Yeah, this
This
is
is-
actually a Google map that existed of the Beyond the Box project.
That was on the
And we
Glendale.
embedded that in there, like we would embed Urbanize.
So we can embed that and make a part
We
of
can
our
embed the-
website, yes?
Yeah.
Yes, we can embed the Google Maps, but the Urbanize currently does not allow us to, whether it be likely additional licensing fees, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's just,
So is it,
and at some point you think she would just blow this up and start from scratch and build it
Yes.
wherever we want to do it, and I agree.
And your little iconic boxes with the picture and the address, I mean, that's great. That's, if somebody wanted to see, like if I wanted to say, oh, my area of Glendale has no boxes painted, then of course, seeing that map is revealing, but that's very colorful and attractive and engaging, just like that.
yeah. And I don't know how much work it is or if we want to do this, but if Co-Urbanize is a database, you can export the database and import it into Google Maps presentation. I'm not sure if that's easy to do.
We
because-
can
but
look
it'll
into
be
the
legacy.
Urbanize and what the different brackets are. I don't have access to the Urbanize, we just linked it if.
Right, and currently, there's no cost to co-urbanize, but we also would have to look at the legal agreement to see, it may be that we've signed, we can't do what you're suggesting. It may be better to start from scratch, but use that more as our, continue to go back and look at that. I know
reference.
Chair
reference.
Vidor had suggested that we
Historical
look at it, so.
It's, a historically important moment.
historic
Very
reference,
important
but
moment
I
in
don't-
Glendale. That map is kind of.
Yes, but
historically.
I don't think that it's such a data-heavy kind of mess of information that I think it would mess up your beautiful website, actually.
Could it just be a link to that website?
To the Urbanize? Yeah, we can link it, yeah, it doesn't have to be.
Instead
we
of
can-
being
we can-
embedded.
Yeah.
It currently is a link at that bottom. It
Yeah.
currently resides, and we can keep it like that for now, certainly, to give some content for people to go to. until we build something.
And
that's
that it's
more-
very.
We can also rename that box to say, here's the curb, like to.
Co-urbanize was where we, it's kind of like, this is what we did to get the community's input when we were developing the plan. That's what it
Yeah.
was. And I don't think we want to reactivate it or
No.
give anybody the impression that's what we're doing.
Right.
So,
Yeah, we can still, the
yeah.
Urbanites can still be alive somewhere on the site, but it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be as prominent on the homepage.
Got it.
Yep.
Yeah, I think the red box should still have the same title that it has, just have the current inventory of the city.
The Beyond the Box, do you want that?
Oh, no, the
the
public
public
art.
art map.
But the public art map will lead us to that Beyond the Box, or we just like a
No,
whole
we
new?
just,
No, a
whole new map
a
of-
whole new
of
map
public art.
with wherever we've got public
Okay.
art right now.
Okay.
And then we'll just continuously
with-
add to it.
And time-based too, right? Because for instance, we have this current art that's up for 1 week. We'd like to have that a part of the map,
Right, yeah.
not go away next year, right? So that's kind of important.
So it's something that we can, there's a dashboard that we can add and
Add
take
and delete,
things
and
off
then, so you're
as
saying
well?
like, for example, this, like
The current installation at the library, for
yeah.
instance, that was from the
So
Open Arts.
next year, when you look at it, you're still going to see that there with the date saying, September 1st to September 20th, or?
I mean, I would think ideally, because that's part of what we're doing, part of the public art that we're creating in Glendale.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe my commissioners,
I think so.
co-commissioners may not want that. I don't know.
Well, I guess the public art map, maybe this is a different discussion, because if we're going to talk about what the public art map is supposed to depict, there could be more we need to talk about before it gets
Yeah.
finalized. And
Yeah,
Probably.
definitely.
I was thinking more that we would actually go out, since there's already public art that the commission, some of it was approved by the commission and some of it wasn't, that we go out and we find it and inventory it, and we can get all those things up, like,
That would be in there.
you
The
know.
permanent pieces? more,
Yeah, and
then-
things that already exist in the city, like in my neighborhood, there's this veterans public housing project, and somebody did a mural on the wall there of like an homage to veterans, and it's got a balloon, and it has like a little thing of the city, and it's a whole wall. I don't think that was a commission-sponsored project, but it is existing public art. So we could, go out and get pictures of all those things, and then anything that came later. And then in the meantime, we could talk about whether we're going to put the temporary art in.
And maybe, because I see Commissioner Oshigan's point, perhaps though, because it is temporary, it's more of a photo archive of temporary things because you can't go visit them now. But I agree with Chair Vidor that Jennifer and I have spoken of, taking pictures of art, whether commission sanctioned, as you said, or other, but it exists, and inventorying that and putting that on there. And because you can go visit it today, having that on the map.
How about if, just under that public art map, there's two categories. There's the permanent art, and then down below, there's there's a section for temporary art.
Sure, we can do that.
Oh,
I mean,
that's a good
but we
idea.
need all the content, though.
Yes.
Yes, so
Right,
once
we'd
we
have
have
to
the
get
content,
you
we can,
content.
we'll figure out the best way to display it. That's,
Yeah, okay.
Many of these images have been pulled from either previous content
That's
or, as you'll see in the about section, just random photographs of yourselves.
Yeah.
If we can get some consistency across the
well-
board. There's a slider here that people on the landing page, we've put together some cards as filler cards, and there's the Slick City Pickers.
So that's just arts in Glendale, just general?
Arts in Glendale in general, so people have an idea of what there is. And they currently don't link to anything, but we can set them to link to their corresponding project.
And we can add however many or however little cards that you want. We kept the Make Art Public. We just saved this one because this was on a lot of the collateral, and kept the colors bright and cheery from the collateral that you guys currently have. So we wanted to make it somewhat consistent with everything that you guys currently do have.
I think that the idea of having a colorful homepage is nice. It's not called the Glendale Public Art Master Plan anymore, and that was that was kind of an initiative that, I don't remember who designed that, maybe it was Cars, maybe it was.
Yeah, this is the cars design for the whole process. And I think
Yeah,
the
so that was
colors is
our
good.
consultant's thing. I think we could probably put our heads together to come up with something equally as interesting and colorful, but maybe
Or
different.
some direct, like if you have an idea of what you would like to see, we can create it. I mean, that's what we do. So if you have like, oh, we want like this kind of a look or this kind of a feel, I can create the banners for that.
Is it a legal question? Is it acceptable for us to put, to give input directly to or through Jennifer to the web designers as individual commissioners?
As opposed to providing
Like at a meeting,
input now at a meeting.
Yes.
You certainly aren't precluded as a member of the public. It's a public process, that's ongoing. So these are recommendations that can be provided either by the commission as a whole or as individuals. You can provide,
And we would, I think.
ideas,
They'll be
thoughts.
back here, but.
It
in
will
the
come back,
interim,
that's correct.
It might be nice if we could freely interact either directly or
The
through Jennifer, probably.
Issue there, of course, would be to be careful not to turn it into a serial meeting.
Yeah, right.
So that's why the preference is to have you
No
all together
copying
so that you,
everybody.
exactly, and there being, some concern that a staff member might receive something from you and inadvertently include that email in a response to another commissioner. And so we try to avoid that and keep the discussion here because it should be in the public, and the public should be able to hear it and participate, come in and attend, provide cards on these issues. So I think the preference is, because of the safety aspect and the Brown Act restrictions, that it's probably safer for you all to have the reports provided to you here in public and provide your input. And then, of course, staff is receiving direction. If an item does come back in its next iteration, those thoughts, those comments, that discussion should be considered when it's brought back. Hopefully that's helpful.
Yes, that was helpful. Okay.
I'd just like to clarify, these are temporary cards, temporary
Yes,
images, et
yes,
cetera.
right.
And you'll see some of the layouts of specific program layouts like the Beyond the Box. Particularly the Adams Square mini gas station. So these are the images we were able to get and the basic layouts with the overview in any section that is a departure from the topic being discussed is separated by a yellow line so that it's not just one flowing text after flowing text. How to apply, et cetera, et cetera.
And again, all this material is, we took everything from the Glendale the Glendale actual official website. We just pulled all the information as much as we could find. So we actually went and dug through all the Glendale City website section.
So this is under the public, which major heading is this?
This is specific to the Adams Square mini gas station project. So this would be an example of a project that's currently open, or I
It's
don't
not
know.
under call to artists.
Pardon me?
This isn't under the call to
It
artists.
can be. There is a specific call to artists section that's separate. So artist opportunities, we go here, and these are active opportunities for artists to apply to.
I mean, I would think that the call to artists for anything would be under the call to artists section, and the Adams Square thing would be an opportunity to showcase all of the projects that have been done. So that would be pictorial and highly visual, and put the calls in one place. Because one of the things I've noticed, and this seems to be an issue with Glendale, not with you, but definitely with Glendale, is things are very text heavy, and you don't see a lot of visuals and interesting pictures, and we have an opportunity to just showcase everything that's been done. And there have been 11 art exhibits in that gas station already, and we should show those off because they're all very different and they're all very interesting.
Well, Commissioner and Chair Vidor and Commissioners, the beauty of the web. So it's wonderful that we can link in different ways. So when calls are open for Adams Square, that can exist under calls. The Adams Square page can do exactly what you just described. It could also have a link to the call if someone discovers it there.
Right, a link to the call.
But when there's no calls open, then it wouldn't exist there. So absolutely. And that's also if there's something at Commission sees that is outright wrong, the beauty is it's not a building. We can get that fixed and corrected. Please let us know. And if it can wait, we can discuss it at a commission meeting, but also please let us know immediately so that Jennifer can work with them to get it fixed.
So yeah, currently we can change it so that the call for artists page will show all the different calls for artists that are currently open. And then when you go to that drop down, for example, the Adams Square gas station, it would be showcasing the previous work so that if you're, for example, as an artist, myself, like you can sit there and say, oh, what else has been at the Adams Square? That's what you want it to be?
And there are receptions given by the neighborhood for so there were parties attached to these things too, so we could put the community involvement in as well.
So just a time check, it's 3:30, so just we've an hour and a half into the meeting and we have more items, so.
We're good. All right, continue.
Okay.
Just one more thing, sorry.
Yes.
Going back to the cards, so the cards are also interchangeable, right? So
Yes.
staff can, so
Yes,
if there's an
definitely.
upcoming event, we can highlight that.
Yes. These are just ones, again, we just pulled from what we had to show what it can look like.
And this can be quickly updated.
Very
And
quickly.
it can also be randomized, so a person sitting there is not shuffling through the same cadence. So yes, absolutely. And it's a fairly quick update.
Thanks.
Quickly, I really like the colors. I think, and there's a continuation, and they're very bright and open. And I mean, we can try to find other colors, but I'm happy with these colors. And I would also agree with Chair Vidor that more visuals. Yeah, I think more visuals.
If we can get the content, we can upload the
Yeah.
content. So
Yes.
this
text.
is, this
More
is,
pictures.
this was the
This is a
first,
preliminary
this was the
template.
first iteration of this.
Right.
So we just took what we could find from the web. And so just to show you where we're going, instead of getting deep in the woods and then you guys saying, oh, this is completely not what we want.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
What's the footer like? Sorry.
The footer,
You have a footer?
this is the
This
footer.
is it right
down.
now? Oh, there's nothing further down?
No, this is it. This is the footer. Let me go ahead and click to another page. And then, so that's the footer. And it displays a quick difference.
Visuals, come on.
But you're correct in that the current site, the current content on the Glendale City site is extremely text heavy, particularly
Yes.
for being an art, communication of art. But absolutely, we can do that. We even remove some of the text because we've migrated whatever was there onto the
Sure.
current site so that
Totally
it can stand
understand.
alone. But certainly, maybe it's a time to revisit it and kind of just do trimming of the amount of copy on there. Because I agree. You go to the site, you want visuals, you want engagement.
So on pictures, if you're getting pictures where we took them personally, or we, know the copyright and it's released to use, what is the dimensional requirement for a photograph for this site, just so we know what types of pictures?
Oh, your bio photo?
No, I'm talking about like pictures of public art, like dimensionally, what do you need picture-wise?
We can rearrange sizes. The bigger they are, the better it is, because
Right.
then I can scale it down.
So there's is there a minimum resolution?
So for instance, Chair Vidor took that picture of Commissioner Oshigan and the other gentleman, so that might be something that could be included on the site.
Yes.
What would be the best format for her to submit to you?
The minimum width in order to get the best resolution is about 1,200 pixels.
Okay.
So 1,200 by 600-ish, something like
And
that.
JPEG.
And JPEG or PNG, but really, if you gave us another format,
Yeah.
We can work with
It
it.
would be JPEG, I'm sure.
1,200 pixels
Okay.
wide is good.
72 DPI?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's good to know. And then, of course, if we're getting them from the city and they're released to the city, that's easy, but we have to be careful about, not violating somebody's copyright. So I guess we have to stay in our
Yeah.
territory here.
Yes.
Okay.
And exactly, I don't know what the artist agreements are, so the Beyond the Box
think
project, for example, each
I
image
think they
has
give it
a
up.
associated artist credit, et cetera, as it should be.
Yes.
But I don't know what the contractual agreements are, so we make sure we have all of that in there and not missing
Yeah.
anything.
Contractual agreements agree that we can use the image.
Yes, and what they are in agreement for us to provide as a credit to them, whether it be just a name, whether it be a name as well as a link to their artist page.
Yeah.
What is that the agreement that you have with the artist?
Okay. Great. Continue.
And really, basically, this is, we have a page for past programs, and this, of course, is just something I went through your site and pulled down. Again, text heavy, but we could pour more images in there. But these are past ones. I didn't want to list individual projects and have people click, go back, just easier navigation and not having to
Right.
drill down into the site. So,
Okay. That's good.
there is considerable content. It's
Yeah.
pretty amazing. It just needs to
Some
be.
really good public art we've had in the past.
And some
that-
familiar
That we'd
faces.
like to, what's that?
And some familiar faces.
But yeah, so that, the Glendale picnic and Joy Furr's art that was above, I mean, that kind of thing is really good to have
Yeah, I
on
mean,
our site.
we'll have to do an inventory for you to make sure we
Temporary.
capture all the past
That would be
permanent
great, yeah.
and temporary art so
They were
that we
temporary,
can
so-
load them up on the site.
Again, we took what we had.
Right.
And we didn't want to go too deep, because if you didn't like where we were going, then to have to redo it again.
But
But-
certainly, do you have an archive of this? Is this something that we would, who would be tasked to provide us this art?
So it's staff is who works with this, and so our hope would be, and I think you all would concur, that we have somehow the ability to upload the photo, the metadata, and all of that, so that we're not having to call you today and tomorrow, and oh, next week, could you get this one up? So the hope would be we'd build some sort of system or back end that we could upload things to, make quick changes to, and all of that. So we'd really like to see, and it's probably the librarian in me, an archive of all the public art in Glendale. I think the chair would like to see that as well. But then as Commissioner Oshigan had said, I think it's important to also document all the temporary exhibits that we've done. So that would be incredibly labor intensive for you all to put up. So that's why I think it would be best to have some sort of system where we could
Yeah.
upload that and
Or
do it that
version 2.
Certainly, yeah. But some of the things that are just temporary, basic, are the contact forms. Currently, the kind of Wix we have, you have much more elaborate contact forms, uploading images, uploading, especially with artist submissions, uploading their content at a much higher resolution, which would certainly help trim the amount of work that needs to be done on the back end if they can just give us a nice 5 megabyte, 1200 pixel image, and you're not having to go chase it down again. So.
Yeah.
And what is the current, are there any legal agreements that have to be agreed to on these submission forms so that they know that when they are uploading their artwork, they are giving consent for review, small presentation to a committee, that kind of stuff?
Jennifer can answer that.
I was going to actually tell, legal was going to.
So we don't, so this stuff doesn't get out, but it is out to where it needs to be evaluated.
Yeah.
Sure. Madam Chair, members of the commission, you should be in contact with the legal department. We deal with these kinds of issues consistently. We have a couple of members on our staff who are dealing with IP issues and ownership issues, as well as software, all kinds of licensing agreements. So come to us, we can take a look at it.
Okay.
Thank you.
And that is what our arts administrator, Jennifer Fukutomo-Jones, does. She interfaces with legal all the time, and she will work on that for us. That's why we have her
Sounds good.
and appreciate
It's been
her.
great.
Thank you. I think maybe in the interest of time, which we keep mentioning, but, maybe complete your presentation, and we'll ask any
Yes,
we'll-
I think that's pretty, I mean, right now, the current site is very basic because, we wanted to keep it clean, we wanted to keep it easy to navigate for the person just coming to the website instead of, so are there any questions, concerns? That's pretty much it. I mean, we've pretty much gone through the whole site.
And just keep in mind that keeping it simple like this, although it is simpler, it is easily navigated on mobile, which is where a lot of people are accessing the content.
As a mobile.
So if you really load it up like an
Pictures,
Amazon,
all those.
it overwhelms people. They don't even know where to go.
Right.
So.
And that was another, because most people do look at things on their phone when they're
Yes.
going. So we
Well,
wanted it easy to find, where is this, what is this?
Okay.
After speaking with Jennifer, really we wanted the landing page to profile the Urban Arts program and a call for artists as the primary goal of that landing. And then from then on, people can explore past programs, et cetera.
I think it's
rather than
really-
overwhelming people with choices.
Right, yeah, I agree with you. The cleanness and the, get to where you want to go in one click, whatever. But I think as an up-and-coming but not totally established arts destination, we need to show off a lot what we have done and what we have and stimulate artists to want to make art here. So the visual aspect is really important for us. What are the next steps now with the program?
Well, I have a comment to make. I did look at the mobile website. It looks great. I do like it. So my only recommendation would be, from looking at both of these, you guys did an amazing job, but I could say you could do less verbiage, honestly. I've worked on enough websites where most people aren't going to sit down and read all of this, especially people who are in arts and culture. We're big picture people. So you could get rid of a lot of the wording, especially under the projects tab, and make a lot more photo-based. So I know there's an option where you can click on the photo and then it gives you a brief summary of everything. So something like that, even cleaner and simpler.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Yes.
Yeah. In fact, it was a little overwhelming how much
It's a lot of work.
copy there was in the
Yeah.
previous site.
So the site is up
maybe-
now and we can.
No.
No, I just
No.
found it.
It's not live, but we can send a link.
Yeah, okay,
That would be good.
it's in kind of a
Sorry.
test mode. So yeah, sending a link to Jennifer.
You copied the link?
I was like, what is she looking at on her phone? How did she?
So it needs to be 25.
Sneaky. Okay.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
All right, yeah, I'd like to apologize for the long amount of time you had to wait.
Yes,
We
that's
really
okay.
appreciate your input, and thank you
Thank you.
for coming and giving the presentation.
And Chair Vidor, go ahead.
Sorry.
Oh.
For shortening the verbiage, Jennifer, you would be the one in charge of that,
Yes.
or?
Yes.
And
We work with Jennifer and with Gary.
so, and
can I-
if you would indulge me, just would ask that we also look at accessibility of the site and make sure we're, keeping it accessible as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, so do I have a motion to note and file the, finally, at the end of the meeting.
Is there no on file?
I'll motion to note and file.
Okay, second.
Second.
All right, roll call. Thank you so much.
Thank
you.
Great to meet you.
Commissioners Oshigan,
Yes.
Tufenkian,
Yes.
Vice Chair Zadorian,
Yes.
Chairperson Vidor.
Yes, next item, please.
At 5E, Urban Art Program Plan Community Update Meeting.
Motion, this part of it. Motion directing staff.
At 5E1, motion directing staff to schedule the date, time, and place of the meeting.
Chair Vidor, Vice Chair Zadorian, Commissioner Tefenkian, Commissioner Oshigan, Jennifer Fukutomi-Jones, Arts Administrator with the Libraries and Culture. Happy to present on agenda item 5E.
You have a recording of that.
I should just record it and put it every
Right,
time.
hold up a cue card or something.
Urban Arts Program Plan Update Community Meeting. So as you all know, in 2018, the City of Glendale's Library Arts and Culture Department hosted several community stakeholder meetings throughout the community in conjunction with the development of the Urban Arts Program Plan. So moving forward, staff is proposing to plan an Urban Arts Program Plan Update Community Meeting in 2020 to share updates regarding the Urban Arts Plan and in order to provide transparency and communication on the status of the plan and to the constituents of Glendale.
So I think before we start with the questions, there was some exchange of, just between me as chair and the staff, on finding some dates where we could call our stakeholders back in and, kind of bring them up to date on what has transpired since the plan was adopted. And January 8th and 9th were the two dates that
Correct.
looked good. So are those the dates you're proposing we choose from?
We're proposing January 9th, which is the Thursday, January 9th, 2020.
But if that doesn't work for someone because of some commitment, we can certainly look at the Wednesday,
What time
But-
is this?
It was
7 to 9 p.m. is what we have.
at the Brand Library,
Why the brand?
because it's available, and it's an arts and music library, so it seems appropriate to do it there.
It's not centrally located, but it is an arts.
Well, we can, if the commission would like, we'd certainly entertain and check if it's the auditorium at Central Library is available. We have that's no issue or problem, so.
That time is just fine with me, the date. So location, obviously, that's based off of staff, and you guys can decide.
Fine with it.
But appreciate any input you have on the location, because if you guys would prefer Central, we can certainly look to see if it's available. We're far enough out it should be, but never know, so.
Okay. What do you all think?
So, yeah, I mean, if it's a continuation of the other meetings that we had, before the master plan was adopted was at the ARC, and I think because they were at the ARC because the library auditorium was not available, if I remember correctly.
The Adult Recreation Center, it's adjacent to the library.
But if we see it something as new and different, starting new, then I think brand is fine. But if we're thinking about continuity, we may consider doing it at Central or at the ARC.
There was one of the meetings at Brand as well.
One of the meetings, was it?
I
Yeah.
think so.
Maybe one was.
What we can do
There was
is,
one at Brand.
if we want to settle on a date, staff can look, we are enough in advance, we'll book all of them and then come back to you next month and then release.
Thursday the 9th.
yes.
So,
Thursday the 9th.
Thursday's good, yeah. Thursday's a good day.
yeah, so I think everybody concurs that Thursday, January 9th would be a good date, and that gives us time to plan it. Yes.
So location TBD.
Yes.
Yes.
And then there was some follow-up on, of course, we want to, in addition to new people who would be interested, which we hope we can get out the publicity, we'd also want to, invite the stakeholders who participated in the original meetings, and their names, we can find them. I'm not sure where they're located, but that's a discussion we've had, and we'll find those people.
Yeah, as long as we have email addresses, we can certainly get that out to folks.
Okay.
Well, I would suggest definitely contacting CARS because they did all of that PR, and in my opinion, they did an excellent PR for this, for these meetings that we had. We had 200 people show up at meetings and broke up into groups. I mean, it was really, really dynamic and engaging, as opposed to our typical presentations of art we get, 20, 30, maybe 50 people. But it was really, they did a really good job in reaching out. And I think they have a nice list. I think we should reach out to them, see
I
if we
believe
could work with
they
them.
gave the list when their contract was over to somebody on the city staff.
Okay, so if we have that list, we can use that.
We could even engage them, I would say. I mean, I would be okay with engaging them to do the PR for that, if it makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know where, I'm just trying to go through the work plan in my mind of where money would be designated for publicity on that. But I think the plan was really to go over what's been accomplished so far and kind of what we're looking towards in the future. But do we want to at least get this meeting booked? If we want to,
Yes.
we've got a motion.
Okay,
I'd like to motion to have the meeting booked on Thursday, January 9th from 7 to 9 p.m. with the location to be determined.
second,
Second.
roll call.
Commissioners Oshagan,
Yes.
Tufenkian.
Yes.
Vice Chair Zadorian.
Yes.
Chairperson Vidor.
Yes. Next item.
Item 6, discussion items. At 6A, 2019-2020 work plan progress.
Just
go through
Commissioners.
Jennifer Fukutomi Jones, Arts Administrator, Library Arts and Culture. First, we have as item A, citywide art. So beyond the box, staff is planning to work on a new phase of utility boxes to be painted on the weekend of October 18th through the 20th of 2019. The application is currently open and closes on Tuesday, September 24th at 4:00 p.m. And we will be hosting an application review panel with commissioners on Thursday, October 3rd at 3:00 p.m. 2, neighborhood arts. Staff has received over 20 applications to exhibit art in the Adams Square Mini Park gas station. On August 28, 2019, staff met with commissioners' selection panel to review applications of the Adams Square Mini Park. The Adams Square Mini Park gas station will be programmed the first on Friday, October 11th, featuring Assemblymember Laura Friedman's office photo contest. Staff is working on programming the Adams Square Mini Park gas station for a temporary art installation taking place following the photo contest from October 21st to November 15th, 2019. The Adams Square Mini Park gas station will then be programmed throughout the winter holidays, and staff is anticipating to program another art installation, temporary art installation from January 13th through February 7th, 2020. Staff is planning to finalize programming at the Adams Square Mini Park gas station through April 2020 by mid-October of 2019. The application decline notifications for the Adams Square Mini Park gas station are currently sent to be set out this afternoon via email. Okay,
So you have 2 selections made, or did you select all 5 because it's $1,000 5 times 5? So are all 5 selected and they're just going to roll out?
So as of right now, we have 4 currently on hold per the direction that the commissioners gave throughout the application review panel. 4 top artists were selected, and I'm working with those artists to program them. So they haven't been confirmed yet, but I'm working on scheduling and availability.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Question
Iconic-
about,
oh, yes.
sorry, neighborhood art. So any update on the Fremont Park pedestals that are supposed to go in? Do we have any news on that?
I mean, that wasn't, I'll check in with Chair after. We have no update today on that, and if that's something she wants to agendize, so that we can come back with that. I apologize, I'm not that familiar with it, so I'll also study up on it in the interim.
Yeah, I think nobody's quite that familiar with it because we don't know exactly, but they were supposed to put some pedestals down, the Parks Department, pedestals down in Fremont Park, and then we were kind of thinking or talking and expected to activate that with something, so just wondering if they, thank you.
Okay.
3, iconic artwork. At the May 16th, 2019 Arts and Culture Commission special meeting, commissioners discussed the placement of a first iconic art piece with potential locations to include Glen Oaks Boulevard and Brand Boulevard, in addition to gateway locations such as South Brand Boulevard by the border of Atwater Village.
So we have an RFP, which is supposed to come out of hiding in 2019 and be filled. So what's the status of that? Because that's really connected to this. If we don't get that RFP, we're not.
So RFP to hire a consultant?
Consultant.
So that is the next RFP we'll be working on, and then that will go through legal. Right now, I think the first thing we had Jennifer work on was the art walk, which is still in legal right now. I know you wanted to bring this back and discuss the iconic artwork with your fellow commissioners, so that's why this is agendized here.
Well, do you have any sense of the timing of the RFP for the iconic public?
Believe it or not, Ms. Fukitomo Jones has been working nonstop, tirelessly. She's working 12 hours today. As soon as when she gets a moment to breathe, I'm sure that's one of the top things on her agenda. Seriously.
And I've been here for 2 months.
To work on
30 hours a week.
So to work on that RFP.
Great. Okay. Hopefully at the next meeting we can agendize, like moving it forward. Okay.
Great. Okay. Marketing and outreach. Staff Urban Arts Program Plan, which we just discussed. Staff will plan the Urban Arts Program Plan Update Community Meeting to take place on January 9th, 2020 from 7 to 9 p.m. Location to be determined. And the website update, as we just discussed, the staff will continue to work with Circle 6 regarding updates to the Arts and Culture Commission website. Okay, item 5, estimated spending through December 31st, 2019. Staff has created an Urban Arts Program 2019 work plan update, which includes anticipated spending of the Urban Arts Fund through the calendar year of 2019 in the estimated amount of $105,170.
So is that posted on the website in the work plan, or?
It is not.
Yeah, not on the website. It can be once we have this website up
Yeah.
and that we've
I
discussed.
think that would be a great addition to the website to keep the work plan updated so people can check status specifically. Any other comments on any of these items? Anybody?
So,
Let's see.
On the, no, on all of the discussion items, any of them?
go ahead.
No, good.
Please, please.
So I know I said at the last meeting, I don't want to go over it too long, but I want to know if we can get some logging done on locations for public walls so we can move forward with the murals within the next year. If we can do that. I know at some point we did that with the utility boxes. We had to find the locations of all the utility boxes, log them, find out where they are.
I was confused by your term logging.
Logging as in archive, finding out where they're located and having, obviously, I mean, what would we consider? It's a logging of all the locations of what we can use for public walls.
Tabulation, right? You just want a list.
Yeah, a
Right.
list of locations, what is possible for us to use as their public walls. And I don't know who you can talk to within the city who would have that information that might already be logged.
What? But I don't know that they log walls for potential art use.
Public buildings.
So, I mean, so the plan, our first plan of using your term of logging is to get everything registered as far as, I'm sorry, to get an archive built of all the existing public art in the city. Certainly as Jennifer and others are out and about, we can certainly look at potential sites. It's typically how it would come about would be someone someone would broach us about like wanting to place a mural somewhere or something. So public-owned walls, that's an interesting way to look at it. So
I'm looking at the same way as we do the Beyond the Box. We have obviously information on where these boxes are located, and then we send out a call for artists.
Right.
Same way, we're just doing a bigger box. It's just a flat wall, public property. So if we can just kind of start going on finding
that process.
Yeah, in the process of finding good locations for these things.
I think we can take that into consideration, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else on discussions? If not, we'll go to the next item.
I have a couple of things real quick. So this budget, is it current budget then?
It's estimated anticipated spending.
It would be nice, I know that there's probably resources needed for but it'd be nice to have what we spent and what where we at in terms of the spending of different kind of arts that we're funding, right? So I have an update of where we're at in terms of funding.
The last 2 pages of the packet.
Yeah,
So
but for instance, I'm looking at, yeah, go ahead.
the last 2 pages of the packet. So in the 2019 budgets, on the left side is what we had budgeted as part of the work plan, and on the second column, anticipated is we are anticipating to spend from the work plan. So for example, item 4B, we had budgeted $40,000 to support culturally diverse and inclusive programs and events in the community, and right now, we are anticipated to spend $25,170. So that's the current estimated budget.
Is that year,
Okay,
excuse
right.
me, is that year to date or anticipated for the calendar year?
For the calendar year.
Calendar year.
Right, so the Open Arts Festival and the other lessons goes under here, right?
Yeah, thank you for doing that. It might be interesting for us to look at the 2019 and then 2020 work plan in terms of like you look at a spreadsheet where you do, annual budget year to date, and then as we spend, we added in.
Yeah, I mean, part of this, because that's normally how I'm used to looking at a budget.
that's how
But what I
I
appreciate about this is it tells us, because we've kind of programmed through the end of the year, so
Right.
this kind of gives us an idea of where we're going to
We're gonna
be
end up.
at end of year. Are you thinking, so as we're broaching 2020, include the 2020 number there? But at this point, well, we can include the 2020 number. Would that be helpful?
I
I
would
don't know
think-
that we have like necessarily anticipated yet. Obviously, there will be spending in 2020.
Yeah, I would think that, I mean, just thinking of it as a financial spreadsheet, which is one way to account for things, is that we do what you did here, except in the second column, it's year-to-date, and then when we get to December, we're going to know what we spent this year, and let's say we budgeted $50,000 and spent $30,000, so that would mean we carry over $20,000 into the second year.
Yeah, the way it
plan.
was approved, just
Yeah.
because we approved it. We did it on a calendar year basis, which is a little unusual, but it
Right.
was approved
Makes
over
sense.
a 2-year period.
Right.
So monies are already approved by city council. They
Right.
sit there, so they absolutely carry over.
Okay, so maybe at the end of the year, we look at our, what we accomplished at the end of the year, and then in the early part of the year, January or February, we carry over on a,
Well, and
and revisit our 2020
Right,
budget
and-
based
and
on lack.
rejigger it a little bit.
Jigger it a little because
That's a
we
technical
haven't spent all the money we thought we were going to spend, so
Yeah.
we can revisit our budget.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
I
So-
think I would like to have more detail if it's possible. I think that's what I was trying to say, like more of a line item.
Yeah, like
Okay.
Accounting of, this piece costs this much, this piece, and, this program, in line item of, under, I guess, breakdown each, like 4B would be broken down into its parts, and 4A would have its parts.
Right, but you're not
Possible.
looking necessarily, as we looked at, just for clarification's sake, like the relocation of this last art piece, you're not looking for tent rental, this amount.
No,
Or just like, this is the
Right.
cost, yeah.
The cost for
Exhibit and
For
relocation.
the
Yeah.
open arts installation, this is the cost, and in the,
Yeah.
I've been keeping, doing it just so, I've been doing it this way just so I can understand and keep current with the work plan. Like, you tend to forget about the work plan,
Right.
just talk about the items, and I'm happy to just give it to you, and you can either,
Well, we'll absolutely present it as that. We can certainly do that, the line item,
yeah.
and do it that way.
Not too much detail, just,
Yeah.
Just the
But enough.
enough, so that.
Know what it
And we
is.
can look at it and
Yeah.
say, oh, this was good, this wasn't so good. So next year, when we look at this listing, we can say, let's move this direction or not, right?
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, that's great. Oh, we're developing a reverb.
They're
Anyway.
probably, it's 4 o'clock, they're probably.
Yeah, they're trying to.
This is our
They're shutting us down. Okay, so we are now on commissioners' comments, or are we completed with discussion items? So we
Yes.
can move to the next item.
Yes.
Okay, next item.
Commissioners.
Commissioners' comments.
Item 7, commission staff comments.
Okay. Anybody have any comments?
Did enough talking today.
Oh, yeah, really.
Yeah, me too. I'd like to.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I would like to suggest, if possible, to get a little more communication in terms of what's happening from the staff, in terms of, as we move things are going to be move more quickly with the meeting, with new art being installed, maybe like a biweekly email saying, this is what happened last 2 weeks. That would be really beneficial for us to keep us more in the loop. So I feel a little bit disconnected. I'm more connected because I'm at the library and I see you and I talk to you. But I think my fellow commissioners they may not see anything until once a month. And so I think it's better as we move things forward, as we go more quickly. I think it will be very beneficial for communication, internal communication.
Because we're meeting monthly and you get this packet, would you be okay with like a 2-week, kind of 2 weeks in, we communicate, because then you'll have a packet in the following 2 weeks.
Yes.
And then
Right.
that way, so it'd be kind of a monthly check-in, but separate from the packet, like kind of midway. I think we can.
What's happened so far. and then,
Right.
yeah.
Yes.
I think we could
Yeah, I think
do
that's a
that.
good idea.
Very, very good.
Be a brief update email.
Right, I was going to say, for
Oh.
clarity's sake, is bullet points
I-
acceptable to
Yes,
to prevent the
yes,
verbose?
Yeah, just brief, nothing.
And I should ask legal if that's legal.
Right.
Yes, it is. The city manager provides the city council with a bi-weekly report.
I like
so,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay, any
Thank
other
you.
comments? Okay, I have a few. I'd like to request we agendize a few things. To Commissioner Oshigan's point, I'd like to see if we could, there may be nothing to agendize, but go back to the Fremont Park and the Duke-Magian Park mural proposal that the Parks Department was considering and find out where they are with those.
Yeah, they're actually going, they needed to go to city council first. So that's actually agendized for city council, not to choose any, not for the
Yes.
art part of it, another piece of it. And then they want to come to us. So I suspect they'll be ready to do that next month, but I don't want
Okay,
to promise for
yeah.
them.
Because
But-
I think that, I realize these are sponsored, and I don't know if we're providing funding or not. Nevertheless, if they're public art, we should be reviewing them.
Yeah, it's not for the art, it's more of something to do with the financial part of it.
Okay. And then on neighborhood arts, we do have a work plan goal to go into 2 more neighborhoods, which we haven't done, and it seems like it would be a good idea to restart that outreach thing where we go around and make presentations. And I don't know who has. I've made one this year to the Kiwanis Club, just on the urban art program in general. And I think we've got to get to the Glendale Homeowner Coordinating Council, which is the neighborhood umbrella organization, and try to make them more aware of what we would like to be doing, because they, where are the neighborhoods and how do we get to them? It seems like we have to engage them, because they're not going to come to us. So,
Well, could I say something about that? I mean,
what?
could I-
Yeah, sure.
I think we don't have a plan for the neighborhoods right now. We just have a sort of a line item of, we want to do this. I think we need to figure out what we want to do in terms of what would be the next logical steps in terms of bringing art to the neighborhoods. Right? I think that's the discussion. Maybe we could agendize that for the next meeting to talk about that.
Sure. I think we should also, at the same time, we want to use the Adams Hill example as a good example. The community is very engaged in that. And
Yeah, for instance, we want to create that kind of environment in different
Yeah.
parks in the city. That would be fantastic, but we need like an approach. We need to say, all right, somebody needs to go to speak to parks, figure out what's happening, for instance,
Yeah,
Fremont Park
parks,
or Duke Magian
obviously.
or whatever. So we need a process.
yeah.
And Madam
That-
Chair, Commissioner Oshigan, and fellow commissioners, so we're also keeping our eyes and ears open for those kind of opportunities, and then would bring them to you
Okay.
if we hear of anything. So
Could we
know that
agendize
we're
that too?
well, the neighborhood arts.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
to discuss
Come
it.
up with a
We can
plan.
discuss it, but, sometimes it's almost serendipitous, it comes up that there's some opportunity somewhere, and especially if a neighborhood is even, they're interested, then it makes it.
Right, that makes it even more exciting.
Yeah, so we're always keeping our eyes and ears open, and hopeful. I don't want to give anyone false hope, but I mean, we're hopeful we're going to have something soon that I think you'll all be excited about. But it could all fall apart, so we'll see how it goes.
It's pretty
All right.
mysterious.
That's intriguing.
Yeah.
If there are no more comments, are we ready to go to the next item? One more?
I like one more comment. And so the other thing is also the temporary art. I'd like to put it on the agenda next time, perhaps. We also need a plan for the temporary art we're going to bring to the city. I think maybe we need to discuss about, we're going to hire a consultant to do the iconic art. Maybe we also need a consultant to have a plan for temporary art that we bring to the city. So maybe we could agendize that for the next meeting if possible.
Again, it's just because we are trying to keep the meetings within a certain amount of time, suggest we just say we'd like to agendize that, and of course it's up to the chair and all of that, but so
Sure,
it becomes difficult when we say for the next meeting, because sometimes it can't work that quickly, or we don't have anything to present to you, so we're coming back and saying we have this item but we have nothing to say about it. So
Okay, next item?
Item 8, written communications.
I have a quick written communications. This is actually the mayor's commendation that we, the Arts and Culture Commission, received as a sponsor for Glendale Tech Week. So this is part of the, an item that was sent to our office earlier last week. So a commendation
Very
to the mayor.
nice.
I can pass that.
It's really nice. Were there any other written communications? Wasn't there one?
You have
Oh,
it.
yes, well, I did, and I don't have it with me.
There's a flyer there for you.
It is.
Everybody has one.
Congratulations.
Everybody has it.
It's right at the bottom. Yeah, there you go.
Here it is. I'm sorry. Yes, this came in, and I did share it with my colleagues over there, that the art gallery at Glendale Community College has an open call now that you can see online at their website, and this is for wall art for a mural for GCC, and it's very exciting and really nice to see a major institution, especially an educational one in Glendale, celebrating murals and doing looking to do wall art in their environment. So just thought I'd bring it to everybody's attention.
That's great.
And that's it. So the next item,
At item 9, adjournment.
we're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.